I walked in the place, sat by the bar, all the drinks on me, don't go too far, sitting by the bartender, asked her.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon. We're here on 910 Sports. Once again, I want to thank God for this opportunity to be able to come on here on this platform to have great guests and great co-hosts. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce everybody from my right. Yeah, to my right. Yeah, my right shoulder. Right to the left. It's a judge. Sometimes you
Hey, I
older,
got
you know,
you.
you right to the left.
I got you, bro.
I'll introduce my man, Mr. Georgia Everything himself in the building. Steve O, what's going on, fam?
Not much, man.
And then from down there on the bottom, I got my man. Can y'all hear Steve O? I don't know because I don't know if that was me or him.
No, he muted himself.
Yeah, he on mute.
He muted himself. Yeah. Anyway, so down at the bottom, man, I got my man, Mr. Personality himself. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Go-Getter himself, Mr. Jacob, the great. What's going on, brother?
Good morning, man. Glad to be in the land of the living. As my grandpa said, boy, we blessed when we're on this side of the dirt. So I'm glad to be on this side of the dirt, man. Praises to the Most High, and want to thank our wonderful guests for coming on, man, and taking the time to chop it up so we can learn more about his backstory. Because before there's glory, there's definitely a backstory. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so even with the coaches, it's a lot of tears and snares and pulls and struggles and trials and tribulations that being a great coach, and the coaches go through a lot that goes unnoticed, and people don't really understand, because a coach is a minister, he's a counselor, he's a father figure, he's a best friend, all the above, man. So we're just glad to be here this morning, man, and we're going to chop it up about some business. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing started.
All right, man. Today, man, we have in the building, and I'm super excited, man, that Mr. Coach Garen Holley took the time out to come through and talk with us about his career. Defensive line coach, special teams coordinator, recruiting coordinator. He's even touched, overseas and coached in American football in Germany, as they say, so he's been all around the world, and he has those international coaching skills as well. So when you can coach internationally, that's a whole different level of coaching that, that you did, that you taught, and it makes people look at you and look at your resume really different. So, welcome to the 901 Sports Podcast. Coach Holley, how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. It's a great morning up here in Waukesha. We got about 4 to 6 inches of snow yesterday, so we're not out of it yet, but it's good, man. I'm blessed for the opportunity to speak, and yeah, I'm super excited.
Cool. So, when did this start for you? Like, when did you when did you know that you was passionate about coaching these young men that's growing up, to love and play and have so much passion for the game of football, but still needed that direction and that guidance?
Yeah, I've been playing since I was 4, or 4 or 5, right? Because I started out on the East Coast in Virginia. We were living in Newport News, Virginia. So you can start pretty young there. So football is the only organized sport I played my entire life, right? Like I played all the other stuff on the playground. But I always thought I was born to do this. Obviously everyone has the NFL dream, but I would probably say I knew I wanted to be a coach after my 4th year of college, my true senior year. I was actually ineligible, academically ineligible, and I actually took a semester off to kind of get right. And from that standpoint, I had a chance to come back and finish out my eligibility. But I don't know, I just kind of had the bug to help, to start helping and mentor and coach some of the younger cats, because I was also a resident assistant, so I was already kind of mentoring and helping out younger students. Um, so I think that's where it started when I was probably 21. It's kind of where it clicked, that coaching is what I wanted to do. I am football. That's just how I look at it. It's shaped who I am, and the ways that it's a life sport and you can give back to these young men. Yeah, I think that's when it really clicked for me, was college, when kind of was in a moment of crisis.
Okay. And so, your very first coaching experience, straight out of college, man. Can you talk about the experience, the place you was at, and how did you prepare yourself mentally and emotionally? And has this coaching journey been a spiritual journey as well?
Yeah. So my journey is one of early struggle that I got myself into, right? I was raised military. Both parents were Army. Dad served in Desert Storm. We were stationed overseas in Germany when I was young. My sister was born over there. So I came from a pretty strict upbringing, as being the first child. And kind of all that stayed with me through high school. And I think once I got to school, I kind of had some freedom, right? I didn't really have to answer to nobody every day. I was kind of my own little
Mhm.
man there. So I had this interesting trajectory where I was eligible one semester and eligible in another semester. And it wasn't because things were hard. It was because I was being lazy, right? Like, you could self-analyze and like, hey, you just need to get your shit together at the end of the day. So that's kind of where I came into that fall of my senior year. Of my fourth year, was I ended up being ineligible because I failed the summer class, and my DC had a come to Jesus moment with me in the office. Like, man, like, you're where you want to be at this point. You're on a trajectory to start playing now, but you're ineligible. Like, can't trust you in the classroom. So we had a bit of a come to Jesus moment. Called my mom, told her what happened, and my parents are pretty tough. They're like, you got no home to come home to. And I was like, yeah, true, fair enough. Already knowing, that they're tough, and, there's accountability for your actions, type of deal. So I kind of took that semester to work, go to school. I still was in school, so I got myself caught up. That spring, I could have came back and play, but I decided to start coaching. The staff, Coach Monty Rowe, Paul Troth, that was the head coach DC combo at the time. They invited me on to be a student coach. So I actually started student coaching spring of 2009. And I was working with the cornerbacks and the DBs. We had a big team because it was NAIA football. Missouri Valley College is where I went. Really good program, historically really good. We were really good the 4 or 5 years I was there. So I was able to start coaching as the assistant DB coach, as a student coach, and then kind of the full-fledged DB coach with our JV team, because we did have a JV roster. So that's how I kind of cut my teeth. With spring 2009 is where it all started, in water, and then from there, I was able to start parlaying my track into a couple different GA opportunities.
Okay. So Missouri is Midwest football. So, um, how is that Midwest football versus, you from Virginia on the East Coast?
Mm-hmm.
Versus the Virginia football out there, Newport News and the Hampton area and the Virginia Beach area. So Missouri is cold. I see. The linemen from Missouri be huge. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, how is that Missouri football versus East Coast football like? Is it taught different, or
Mm-hmm.
is football to you?
Um, at the end of the day, football's football. It's right. You're based on region, right? Certain regions are going to have, like the Midwest, you can find O linemen, interior D linemen, linebackers everywhere, right? But you're not going to find elite level receivers and corners at the same clip as you're going to find them in the West, out in Cali, up the coast or down south, right? You're not finding the same level of skill sometimes. You get a little bit more dynamic, more quick twitch guys from there, at least from a recruiting standpoint, how it usually works out. But at the end of the day, ball is ball. Who's the coach? What type of program is he running? But at the end of the day, outside of D1, right? When you're looking at the national landscape, who's winning it all, it's coming from
Mm-hmm.
the SEC, right? I'm a Georgia guy myself. Family's from LaGrange, Hurd County. I was telling Icon E and Steve earlier. So being in the Midwest and being in the northern region of the country most of my career, from the FCS D2 and all the way down, you're looking at the Midwest is producing all the national champions. Um, so it's just the kind of the different levels of how many big guys can you get that aren't D1 guys that are going to trickle down, how many skill guys that are elite that aren't going to go D1 that trickle down. So that's kind of the breakup, I think, in the geography of the country. It's just kind of skill guys are going to get a little bit more from the West and the South, and then throughout the Midwest and northern areas of the country, you're going to find your bigger type guys um, that are a little bit more plentiful, I guess.
Okay. And so with that being said, um, how important is mentorship to you? How important is consulting with your players on and off the field? Because that takes a factor on what type of player you get when they come there and what type of player they become when they leave your program. So, what is your you know, take on that as well?
Yeah, mentorship personally. I mean, I've been fortunate to work with some really great guys. Specifically, Coach Buddha is what we call him, but Buddha Shesky is his name. He's the head coach here at Carroll University. We worked together out at Presentation College in South Dakota for about 3 years, and we were roommates. And in terms of mentorship, he's been an awesome mentor for me personally, as I was a young coach when I joined that staff originally. And he's done everything he can to mentor me and bring me along through my career. Uh, he's the big reason that I'm here at Carroll now. He finally became a head coach 3 years ago, and I was in the first group of calls that he had for people to come join the staff. So having a good mentor like that, James Craig was the head coach that brought me out to Germany. I worked under him as a graduate assistant at Peru State. So I've had several good mentors in my career, and just me in general. When we recruit young men and talk to young men, as we bring them in to our family, we talk, or at least I talked about for sure, is I'm not here to be your dad. I'm not here to be a dictator. I'm here to be a big brother, if anything. Right. I've experienced a lot of life, a lot of good and bad in life, a lot of fun in life. So I can guide you in a lot of different directions. There's not a lot that you're going to go through that I probably haven't already gone through. And that's on and off the field. So I'm here to be a big brother, if anything. I'm going to love you up. We're not afraid to tell our players that we love them, right? Like that's a thing that can be difficult for men to do. But I tell my players I love them. We tell our players that we love them. We push that. And if they need a kick in the butt, they're going to get a kick in the butt. But at the end of the day, our goal is for them to walk across that stage with a job in one hand and a degree in another. Because that's what's most important at the end of the day. We're going to win a lot of football games here. We've already exceeded our first 2-year expectations and got this thing rolling. So, in terms of the mentor piece, it's probably the most important thing outside of the football piece is making sure that they're going to be outstanding young men when they leave us at the end of the day.
Okay, cool. That's well said. Well said. I can't eat back to you.
So the one thing I noticed about with your resume, you coach like all over when it comes to like defense, offense, special teams, everything. So I'm like, good Lord, I'm like, this guy has done it all, and that's a rarity with coaching. A lot of times you see one person just kind of focus on one side of the ball. And so, what for you? One, what's your favorite part of the game to coach? And two. Well, I'm gonna ask that question. I asked that question first. What's your favorite part of the game to coach?
Okay, so I grew up a quarterback. So having grown up in Newport News, I was growing up in the Mike Vick days, right? So when I was finishing, kind of hitting the middle to end of my youth career, I was in the Mike Vick era, right, of young black youth quarterbacks, right? So like obviously you watch Warren Moon, you watch Randall Cunningham, you watch some of the other greats growing up, but the electricity that Michael Vick brought and or just having been in Newport News where he's from. He went to Warwick High School. That was the track that I was on to go to Warwick High School, right? So that was your idol, went to the camp. So I grew up a quarterback. And then when we moved to Wisconsin in 7th grade, I was still playing quarterback. I always kind of played both ways, but I was a quarterback, as how I kind of ID'd myself from a football standpoint. And then we left Wisconsin to go to Missouri, where my dad's from, Independence, Missouri, just outside of Kansas City. And I just happened to go to a school, where the quarterback dream I just wasn't going to be a quarterback there, if you want to say it that way. Good dudes, good coaches, right? But that just wasn't going to be a thing, right? So I always played both ways. So I ended up, playing on the defensive side of the ball a little bit more after that. So that was my sophomore year when I kind of became primary defensive guy. So DB is what I kind of majored in at first, especially coaching, right? Played it through high school, played it into college. So that's what I started coaching. And then, started working got some work with outside linebackers when I first came back to my alma mater to be a graduate assistant. And then the DB track. The big thing that probably shaped me early to be well-rounded was when I was at Sumner High School in St. Louis, Missouri. I took that as a volunteer coaching job. So, you're living an hour plus outside of St. Louis, driving in every day, fighting that traffic to go work at an inner city St. Louis high school. So from there, I did DBs, receivers, and then I was special teams, and then got to be the JV DC. So that kind of molded me early. And then Europe is where, I just kind of got to be my own man. James Craig, the head coach at the time, just kind of let me have free reign. So when you become a DC, you got to learn everything, right? You can't coach a full defense and not know how to coach every position in that defense. So that's really what helped mold me, was being an early DC at 25 in my career. But yeah, I would say D-line is where I'm at now, and I'm loving it. Loving working with the big guys, being able to preach the violence and the technique that comes with it, and having undersized guys and teaching them how to be successful. And then DBs is probably what I would fall back to as my default. But I'm really loving coaching the D-line right now, and being a DC, being successful with that. And special teams, I grew into special teams. I wasn't a big special teams guy early, but it's something that always landed on my plate. So I found a way to love it.
Now, being that you're so versed in all the coaching positions on the field, do you think that gives you an advantage? A lot of times when you're game planning for certain teams, and to be able to your knowledge and be able to see things on the field on the fly, that a lot of coaches may not be able to see. You may be able to see it and detect and be able to make adjustments, especially at halftime and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Right, like in moments of crisis and moments of competition, you fall back on your preparation. So I've been fortunate that I've had a lot on my plate, a lot of football in my 13 years of coaching. There was one point where I was coaching year round for like 2 years. I was going from Europe to back to here. So that was a full continuous, there was really never a break. So I've had just a lot of reps, a lot of visual reps, the things that make sense, things that I see, and things that just I'm able to recall. So yeah, I mean, the experience helps, being well-rounded helps with all those things that you said. Yeah.
Okay. So well, I would say this. I actually believe it or not, I actually been to probably your city 10 to 15 times, if not more.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it because I probably pronounce it wrong, probably butcher the pronunciation of it.
Okay.
Because your city is the one, because that's the same city where they had that one police shooting a few years ago, right? I forgot who it was. I can't remember.
You talking about with that kid that came up, the Rittenhouse kid?
I'm not sure. I have to look it up, but I want to say it was a police shooting.
That was a little south of us. That was down in I think down in Racine, Kenosha.
Racine, okay, yeah. I've been to Racine too. Been to Racine a bunch of times. Yeah. Been out there where you at a bunch of times or whatever. Even been Independence, all of that. You know what I mean? But anyway, so when it comes to being overseas, coaching in Europe, what was it anything a culture shock to you? Was it anything that they do differently? I know you said football is football. Is there anything differently that they do that you was able to bring over to the States? Or it was the things that you seen that you like, oh, I would never do that. So this kind of give us a comparison contrast when it comes to the two worlds.
Yeah. So yeah, at the end of the day, football's football. Football specifically in Germany has been going on at the time. I think it was 2018 season. I think that was like the 40th anniversary of our club. So it's been over there 40 to 50 years. Started with the Air Force bases, so they've been playing football a long time in Europe, Japan, China. It's really big in Mexico now. Brazil is huge now. So football's football. They play NCAA rules per understanding of the gameplay, the rule side of things. It's organized like soccer to where there's the different tiers and you can move up and move down. So I think that's pretty cool. But the biggest change is it's pro / semi-pro because not everyone's getting paid. Most of the regional and local guys are paying the club to be a member, and you might reimburse their gas, you might give them a helmet, you might give them shoulder pads to try to compensate something. Most 85-90% of those dudes outside of the Americans and some guys that are brought in are not getting paid. So and outside of myself and two other coaches, no one else on staff was getting paid. And so that's the biggest difference, is trying to create this culture, this championship culture, with some guys who are professionals that are getting paid to be there, and the rest of the group that's not getting paid to be there, but they're putting in the work just as hard as the dudes that you're paying to be there, or harder. So it's trying to build that culture with having kind of that disparity, and then just the amount of time that you have to practice. So we only practice twice a week. It was a Tuesday, Thursday practice, and then we were playing on Saturday. So you're trying to manufacture now with the digital age. You're at least able to manufacture meetings with Huddle and some different online platforms, and Zoom and Teams and stuff like that. But it's kind of just the semi-pro / pro aspect of it, and then just the amount of time you have to prepare to go out and put together a high-level football team. I think that's a big difference in disparity that not a lot of people are aware of. That a lot of coaches that go over there actually struggle with is, we only got 2 days of practice or 3 days of practice. You have to change how efficient that you have to be as a teacher and developer with that limited time that you have to get guys ready to play good football.
Okay, well, I'm gonna push you down to Steve, even though I think you get some W.
Man, I don't know what's going on, man, with this internet, and it's storming over here today. So my bad.
I'm talking about that. I'm talking about that seat. Yeah, I'm talking like you got your grandma rocking chair in there. What you sitting on?
All that Braves money and all that Georgia Bulldogs money, and Atlanta be having the most jacked up internet.
It's storming out here, man. It's storming. Oh, I don't know about the chair part. I don't know. I am in a different chair. I am in a different chair than I normally use. I am in a different chair. Listen, we will go back to the. Can I ask this man here quick? Let me ask the man the question.
Go ahead, man.
My bad, Coach. I'm having internet issues. I'm dropping in and out, so I missed kind of some of the stuff you said. So I apologize about that. Back to your playing days, though, Coach. What position did you play?
Yeah, so I grew up a quarterback.
Okay.
And I was telling them I moved to Missouri, and I just happened to move to a place where, out of my control, I wasn't going to be a quarterback.
I got you.
It that way. They were good dudes, but I just wasn't going to be a quarterback for them.
Who'd you model your game after when you played, Coach? Like, what quarterback you watched on TV and was like, hey, I want to be like this guy?
So it was Michael Vick. I grew up in Newport News in my youth football days. So, I mean, it was Michael Vick. It was, when you're the most athletic guy out there and you can, run around and then let it ride, that was kind of the style of play coming from the East Coast to the Midwest. And again, different styles of play, right? Like that was a normal style of play on the East Coast, but that was not a normal style of play in Midwestern systems, right?
Okay.
So that kind of makes some sense, right? Because you kind of see those disparities too, where just the style in the regions don't always fit when kids move somewhere. That happens all the time. And there's coaches that will recruit a kid into their system that don't fit the style. Right. So it's like that's really what the issue was. It was just stylistically just not a matchup. But again, playing both ways, I transitioned to safety because I was always, I like to hit, right? Like you got to be a little crazy to play the sport. You got to love inflicting violence. You got to love the pain that comes with it. So I played safety, and then I played outside linebacker, 140 pounds soaking wet my senior year.
140-pound outside linebacker.
You like to hit things, right? Like, it was what it was, But, yeah, and then moved to college. Huh?
I said, you had to be all muscled in. You were 140 pounds.
Well, I mean, I wasn't all muscle. I was by graduation of college. But, yeah, man, and then went to college, walked in the door, saw the safeties that we had in the room. They're all 6 foot plus. We had a 6'4" brother from Florida who was a freak. We had a 6'3" dude from Hawaii who was a freak. And I was just kind of like writing on the wall, right? Like, yeah, it'll be a minute if I stay in the safety room. So moved the corner, learned how to play corner. And that's kind of was the trajectory. So quarterback to DB is kind of the real playing experience.
All right, so we normally ask. Well, I normally ask this question. Now, I've asked DBs a few times, but I'm gonna ask quarterbacks. So, if you give me your Mount Rushmore quarterbacks, your top 4 all time, you only get 4 spots to choose. Now, Michael Vick got one of them. Who are your other 3? I ain't gonna take up Michael Vick. Whoever you want.
Yeah, I've never been one of those guys that keeps a top list because once I get to be put on the spot, I go blank.
You got your Tom Brady's of the world.
Yeah.
You got your Michael Vick, your Randall Cunninghams. Who am I missing, Jacob? Your Tony Romos of the world.
Well, I mean, that's your list. He had some. His list.
I'm just trying to help him. I just throw some names out there.
Joe Montana, Dan Marino. You got people like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Chiefs guy too, so obviously, I'm gonna just jump on it. Say Pat Mahomes will go down as one of the greats. Michael Vick from being young.
He already
That too. Michael Vick, Pat Mahomes.
Probably Warren Moon. That was someone idolized growing up.
We'll never hear that one, Jacob. We'll never hear Warren Moon.
Put it to you like this: if TD can be considered one of the greats, then Patrick Mahomes considered to be top 5 because TD played 7 years.
What TD you talking about?
Terrell Davis.
He considered one of them top running backs ever, and he only played really only played like 3 years of high level football.
In whose eyes? Not in mine.
His postseason.
A lot of people. I'm just saying.
They do. A lot of people do have him up there because of his postseason success.
Why you think he in the Hall of Fame? Because a lot of people got TD up there.
It's true.
Because it's easy to get in the NFL Hall of Fame. It ain't hard. It ain't that hard to get in the NFL Hall of Fame, man. Stop, man.
Yeah, nowadays it ain't. It used to be a little bit, but nowadays it ain't.
But
what you got, man? You got 2 more. You got 2 more spots.
I think you got 3.
What you got 3? Yeah, you gave me 3. You got 1 more.
I got 1 more. Probably Doug Williams.
Oh
wow.
Okay, I like that. I like that one.
But we the first time, because I tell you what, I've heard Doug Williams as being a great quarterback, never top 5, but so that's the first time.
Yeah, you kind of just look at resume, and I don't know. I think pioneership, people take that for granted.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's one thing, but to change the game, and that's another.
But and I can see why you picked Doug because a lot of people don't, like you said, I can't. But Doug did at an elite level when nobody was checking for a black quarterback. Because when he played for Tampa, nobody was talking about a black quarterback. But they used to always mention his stats every now and when. Not even then, every now and when. Yeah. So for Doug to even come out of college in that era and start for Tampa was a big deal.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Then to break your leg and gut it out and come on, that
he made it possible for the Randy Cunninghams and the Michael Vicks and the and the Steve McNair. He made it possible for all of those other quarterbacks behind you. You're right. He do not get his credit.
Yeah. So
great list, Coach. Great list. Mm-hmm. But that was it. Like I said, I miss so much, man. I don't want to have you go back or ask you something you've already been asked. So I apologize about the weather being crazy today. You did say you were a UGA fan, Coach. You think we can three-peat this year?
We'll see who makes it out of spring ball. We'll see who makes it out of fall camp. I usually don't do predictions till those two things have happened. You gotta know how strong the team is. Obviously, in Kirby, we trust.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, yeah, man. I don't see. I mean, who's obviously we're on the easier side of the SEC bracket.
Definitely.
But at this point, we got Alabama's number. We'll see how strong LSU is, right?
Yeah, they keep talking up LSU, but I just don't trust Brian Kelly personally.
Coach, I can't agree with you on one part. Y'all don't necessarily have Alabama's number. Y'all only really beat them once. Y'all avoided them last year. So y'all don't really have their number. Your number means you beat them when you play them. You've only beat them once. The last 10 years.
Speaking of that, Icon, Coach, I'm grateful that you're on this podcast, man. But when we talking about in Kirby we trust, man, listen, man, his resume ain't extensive enough for you to trust him just yet.
But why
one
not?
One national championship.
He got two. He got two. What do you mean? He won back to back.
Listen. That second national championship, you could have put together a Pop Water team and beat them, Coach.
No, for real. What they did to TCU was systematic destruction. They had an answer for everything TCU did from the first snap to the last snap.
I don't see what TCU did, Coach. I don't know if they was on the sideline playing with coloring books during the huddle or what they was doing because you was unprepared. Just like that game. I felt like that even though Ohio State ain't go, they would have gave us a better game to look at.
I'm not saying they would beat Georgia. Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. But Ohio State should have beat Georgia. Let's just put that out there. They missed that kick. That's on them. They should have beat Georgia.
Yeah, they let it slip. I mean, that I think that's probably the real contender, right? You're probably looking at somebody coming out of the Big Ten, right? You got to think whoever Ohio State replaces CJ with, Michigan's going to be really strong because they're bringing back a lot of cats.
Who?
Michigan.
I don't ever see them win a championship, Coach. Like they've been hyped up.
Fan at all.
They've been hyped up for the last 20 years.
Sure.
They just been hyped. Oh, Michigan, they gonna be there. They could win a national championship. I think not. I think whoever making those analysis and announcing that need to go to the altar call and silent meditation because you lying to the people.
I mean, you're just looking at they won the Big Ten, right? So you can't knock them. I mean, they beat Ohio State 2 years in a row, and that's supposed to be the better team.
I say this. They set back the mid-major teams by the way they got beat so badly. And the fact that I think the ratings for that game was kind of low because a lot of people really weren't interested in seeing Georgia versus TCU. And I think they set them back from now it's going to always the playoffs is going to be the only thing to save the mid-majors. Because if they stay with that four game system, the mid-majors going to have a hard time getting that fourth spot now.
Yeah, they're done with the 4-game season as of 2024. So, maybe this next year, those teams are definitely screwed going into this next round of it. But after that, the door will still be open for them. But TCU, they hurt. Them not doing nothing, getting out coached. That hurt the rest of those teams that are in that category.
Glad trash, Coach. TCU nickname for me is Glad Trash Bags. Trash, Coach. Coach. When they have teams like TCU and Cincinnati, oh yeah, they can make a Cinderella team can win. Win what? Win what? No, man. They don't. I don't feel like the competitive play. They don't have that elite, with a lot of those teams, man. And I just feel like Georgia players was that much better than TCU's. Like it was. It showed you. It's like they ran circles around them, man.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think up front defensively, no one was messing with Georgia, right? Like that was a big disparity that affects a lot because TCU was the fastest team in college football last year. They had the most team speed. So, right, Georgia really only had old boy who finally got healthy, and he had played 2-3 games or his first game back, right? That took the roof off that one kid twice. So, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, right? Like, there's levels to D1 football, right? We say the same to our kids. We may be a D3 program, but we're playing in the CCIW, which is the College Conference of Illinois, Wisconsin. That's like the SEC of Division III football. You got the national champ is coming out of our conference for the last 3 years, and they built that program up. You got another top 5 team comes out of our conference.
Who's your national champ, Coach?
North Central College out of Naperville.
Okay, I got you. North Central.
They're a juggernaut, dude. Like they're a buzzsaw. That's the only team.
They got a couple pro guys that they put out recently too, correct?
They sent a guy to Europe, and then that's Whitewater you're probably thinking of.
I think so. Okay.
But I mean, there's levels to it. So there's levels to the true top 5 teams that are truly the elites versus kind of those mid majors that are competitive, playing really good football, but when they actually match up, there's going to be some disparity.
Let me ask you a question. Especially being a black coach and playing like in that Midwest region, we know that's probably predominantly, Caucasian area and all that kind of stuff. So you coach so many positions on the field. It seemed like to me, maybe I'm missing something. Seemed like to me you should be on somebody's Division I, coaching staff or NFL. So what do you think was missing, or is it the program? Is it the programs you're at, or what you feel like is holding you back?
Right. So it is a saturated market. Coaching has always been an old boy network, right? Like it's who you know at the end of the day. To be honest with you, me being a small college player, I'm not the son of any great coach or athlete. I wasn't a big time player that has a name that comes with it. But at the end of the day, it's all about who you know. So everywhere I've been outside of the job I had in Finland, someone knew someone on the other staff. Mm-hmm. So I've really only interviewed for 2 jobs my whole career. Everything has been, you got to hire this guy, right? So it's all about who you know. And I have connections. I got a buddy at Penn State, and he's reached out to me a couple times, about if I'd be interested in joining that staff. But I have a family now, 3-year-old son, and I'm just in a different phase of life, right, where I'm not trying to jump and take jobs, right? I'm at a great place. I'm with my boys coaching here, so and we could do something really great here really soon. So in general, though, it's just all about who you know and the connections that you make, and when a door opens, where are you at in life to be able to take that opportunity? This is what I try to preach to my kids. You never know when opportunity is going to happen. You just have to try to be consistent in the work that you do, be great in the work that you do, and be undeniable at the end of the day. Because when your resume speaks for itself and the references speak for themselves, usually a lot of opportunities will open up for you. So obviously D1 is kind of the dream. Like if Kirby called me, like today, I probably have a we're moving to Athens type of deal.
Yes, sir.
But obviously, I've had other coaches reach out already in my 2 years here, asking to join their staff. And I'm like, no, I'm happy here. I'm not in a place in life where, I would take another move like that. I'm trying to be settled for a bit unless the truly right opportunity that I can't turn down for my family comes open. So, but yeah, it's just networking.
Okay. I was just just curious. I was just definitely curious because I was just like, yo, we've had a few coaches on here, and I've never seen nobody resume as extensive as yours when it comes
Ooh,
to
boy, look at here.
everything.
But as they say, man, he got a resume. Boy, look at here, man, coach. I can tell you this right here, boy. You've been putting that work in. You know how Akon say, I'm out here grinding.
Yeah, I mean that's just what it is, right? You're trying to be better than the day before, try to be consistent, and then just being the best you can. Because again, if I'm being the best I can for myself, that's going to trickle to my wife, trickle to my son, who I'm trying to bring up in this world, to my little brothers, my players, right? It trickles down to them, the rest of the staff. Like you're just trying to be infectious as best you can when you don't make it about yourself. You're right. Like I'm trying to be better for myself, but my actions are for everyone else at the end of the day.
Right.
And then if something opens. If it don't, it don't. Like I'm happy where I am and being present, right? This is what I tell a lot of young coaches that want to move up, that want to be D1, that want to be in the NFL. I'm like, bro, be present where you are. If you're not focused on being the best you can where you are, and you're just trying to jump the ladder all the time, like, well, how much real experience are you getting? You're going into a new system every year. You're not truly earning new roles and new opportunities. You're kind of taking jobs to take. Like I know guys who have been low end assistants everywhere they've went, and they're not actually coaching. They're just doing playbook stuff or holding backs. Like if you coach low level ball as a young coach, you get to coach. If you try to be a GA and a quality control guy or an intern at the D1 level, you might just be a playbook guy or a stat guy or holding bags. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily get to coach. You might be third or second underneath the actual assistant coach or coordinator, and you're not actually coaching. It looks great on your resume that you were at so-and-so big school and you got so-and-so's name on your resume, but how much true coaching experience do you have? Right. And then coaching smaller ball, the relationships that you develop are different. There's not billions of dollars that are rolling into the D1 life, right? To where it's really cutthroat. They don't give you, 4 to 5 years to take a shitty program and make them competitive. They want that done in a year or two. When you're like, dude, you're giving me shit and expecting a diamond. Like it don't work like that. There's just some of those things.
Coach, I did have, I got one more for him. Coach, I know with the increase of the transfer portal rules and now kids are able to go and transfer here, and have you guys seen a trickle-down effect in the D3 world where you guys have seen the caliber of athlete that are available to you now start to trickle down or come out? They're not getting those offers anymore from the Alabamas and the TCU. So now the D2 has to go to the kid. That means the kids that were going D2 now become D3. So have you guys seen a trickle down effect with the transfer portal from a recruiting standpoint?
Yeah, Steve, you hit that right on the head. I've been telling people this for 2 years now since I came back to the U.S. and got back in the recruiting aspect from here. Oh, without a doubt. Right, colleges are taking dudes who've been at another school for a year or two, 3, 4 grad transfer over high school kids. So and then again, right, it trickles down to FCS, which trickles down to D2. It hits NAI, it hits us. We got the number one linebacker in the state of Wisconsin 2 classes ago. He was freshman newcomer of the year this year in our conference. He was starting linebacker for us. How often does a linebacker of the year in a state play D3 football?
Very rare, very rare, very rare. Because if you're number one at your position, you're typically going to at least go D1. TCU, the Alabamas of the world, right. New Mexico State. Somebody's gonna come get you,
right?
So
yeah. So and obviously we have a great business program, the health sciences. If I could plug Carroll University, we're big on the health sciences, nursing, PT, OT, all those things. We recruit nationally, so any young cats or families of young cats watching this, hit me up. So the trickle down really has happened. There's a lot of high level kids who end up still being out there, and then small college football. It's given us more opportunity to get out there in front of them and get them to understand that it's D3, but you're playing elite level football if you're playing in our conference. You're not, when we play teams out of other conferences and we run them out the door by 70, right? Or the best team in our conference is just buzzsawing everybody they play in the playoffs like it's not even competition, right? It's like there's levels to it. And we play at an incredibly high level of football. We're coaching an incredibly high level of football. And each year we're bringing in more higher level recruits. We have scholarship dudes on our roster.
Excuse me.
We do. We truly do, And we got some guys who passed up scholarships to be here, because, again, the private school stigma, we have a price tag of $48,200. That's our overall room board tuition. Don't nobody pay that, right? The average out of pocket's more like 10 to 16. There's some people paying under 5, right? There's some people paying 20.
Yeah.
Don't nobody pay the sticker price. So this is like kids. There's so many places you can go to school, private school, D3, NAI ball, great options. No one ever pays the sticker price.
So, Coach, let me ask you this: is your college, was it started under like because I know a lot of college that was started under that Christian aura, just like in the South, college that's represented by Southern Baptists.
Yep.
They kick it high. You know what I mean? And I know like in the Midwest, college that's represented by any type of church, religion, organization, those tickets are extremely higher than what we call just a public college that was represented by the state, or a public college just under the nonprofit 501c13 law. You know what I mean? So those private colleges are kind of pricey. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean we have a Presbyterian backing, but it's kind of it's not an emphasis of the school, right? Like it's not like you have to go to that religion class. You're gonna have to take some type of extracurricular, but no, it's founded upon the Presbyterian ideology. But at the end of the day, like I said, no one pays the sticker price. Like it looks crazy, but once you go through financial aid and you get your academic scholarship, and you get your institutional grant, you talk about the federal, the FAFSA, the federal aid that you get, so Pell Grant, subsidized and unsubsidized loans if you want them, institutional scholarships if you fill it out and don't waste time. I mean, no one pays the sticker price, man. Like I said, the average is going to be down to 10 to 16 for us. Then there's some people paying much less. There's some people paying more because their parents got money, right? Like money's not a problem. A $20,000 price tag is not a problem. For some, it might be, right?
Icon.
What's that?
He said $20,000 ain't a problem. That's the first person I thought about was you.
Right. Trust me, as a recruiter, sometimes I'll get their package. I call them. I'm like, hey, man, you see your financial aid package? They're like, yeah. I'm like, do we need to talk about it? What's it look like? They're like, and then you hear mom and dad in the background. It's all good. I'm like, are you sure? They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, giddy up. Let's go. Like,
that's Icon.
Some people it's like that, though. Some people it's not. And we have great institutional scholarships that they can apply for. We had a minority socioeconomic based one that, got kids real nice. Again, to be diverse, to open the, our school is really big on diversity. So it's trying to create ways for people from different backgrounds to be a part of Carroll University and not be so exclusive. A lot of schools are exclusive. They make it hard for diversity to come into that school, and they do it on purpose.
I got you. I know we're against the clock. I know we're on time, Icon. I know we got to get out of here. Coach, you from LaGrange. LaGrange High School calls you and say, hey, we need a new head coach. Are you going to take that job, or are you looking for something a little bit bigger? Yep, I put you on the spot.
At this stage of my life, I'm looking for anything. I'm not looking for anything. Again, I'm coaching. The head coach is one of my best friends in the profession. The DC, we also were in South Dakota together, so we work hand in hand. So we're kind of a family as a staff, and we're all got kids in the same age range. So
I got you.
I'm not looking to go nowhere. But yeah, high school ball. I'm not looking to coach high school ball. I think.
Okay.
I'll probably get physical with a parent or something.
Hey, listen, the parents are something different. When it comes to rec, middle school and high school, you got to deal with the parent just like you're dealing with the kid. I totally agree with you.
So I don't have the patience for that. You know, your
Make
kids
you put hands on them. Make you put them hands on them. Make you lose all your religion. What little bit you got left?
You know, I mean, it's just, you know, why isn't Jimmy playing? I don't know. You know, you come to practice and watch.
Why
is he never on
Jimmy
time?
playing? Have you seen Jimmy practice?
Yeah, can you tell me why he's never on time? You know what I mean? Like,
you know, I got you, Coach. I got you. Yeah.
I ain't got the patience for all that.
Can you tell me, Jimmy, why Jimmy move like he got 2 left feet? Stop.
Yeah. Well, why don't he know left from right? Like I don't know. Like, you tell me. Like, you raised him. I got him for 3 hours.
Want him to be a running back, but he eating Twinkies every day.
Yeah, you know.
Y'all crazy, man. Well, Coach, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you answering the questions and taking the time to get up with us this morning and come on here and kick it with us and put up with our mess.
Yeah, anytime. I appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it.
All right, so tell everybody where they can find you, where they can look you up, and if they want to reach out to you about getting recruited or coming down there and getting some of that good education. So tell everybody where they can find you at.
So you can find me on Twitter at Coach Holley, HOLLEYCU. You'll see a pretty picture of my ugly mug up there. And then you can email me at gholley@Carroll, CARROLL.edu or u.edu. So.
Oh yeah, stay warm out there too. Like I said, I've been out there. I've been out to South Dakota, North Dakota.
Yeah,
I done been all them places, man. So I already know how it is this time of year.
We straight. I know. For it's good though. This is the last snow we'll get. Once Easter hits, we're good.
Yeah, Icon, you heard that man recruited. He's recruiting right now. Icon, he's recruiting. You sit here talking about how bad the weather is. Don't want to come over here, man. Don't matter.
See, the cool part, the coldest time of the year up here, the kids are gone on spring break.
Oh, there you go.
Not spring break, but winter break.
I gotta say, people know before they get there. They know Wisconsin and all out there.
He trying to get some of that South Florida speed up there in the Midwest, and you talking about how cold it is. You know those South Florida kids ain't going for that.
They try it. Usually then they on the bus.
All right, man. Y'all have a good and blessed weekend. See y'all next week. You know what I'm saying? It's 910 Sports. Everybody have a good weekend.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Peace.
I walked in the place, sat by the bar, all the drinks on me, don't go too far, sitting by the bartender, asked her